All right, so today we're gonna dive deep,
Side.
deep dive into the world of medical science liaisons.
MSLs.
You got it, MSLs,
Yeah.
the folks who bridge the gap between like the latest
Cutting edge.
cutting edge, scientific breakthroughs and the doctors.
The doctors, yeah, who are actually using them.
Exactly,
In front.
online. So we've got this Udemy course, right?
Yeah.
It's designed for like onboarding new MSLs, and honestly,
I mean,
just look at
even just glancing at the description, the curriculum,
like color me intrigued.
it's fascinating. Yeah.
Hooked, yeah.
What's fascinating here is it's a window into this like critical part of healthcare,
Yeah.
but it's often overlooked.
Totally.
We're talking about the people who make sure doctors have
Yeah.
the most accurate, up-to-date info
On new treatments.
on
So
new treatments. Yeah.
it's huge.
Absolutely.
So like, imagine, right?
Yeah.
A new drug gets approved.
Groundbreaking, maybe.
Groundbreaking for some,
For a specific condition.
specific condition. Yeah.
Yeah.
But how does your doctor even like
Hear about it.
hear about it?
Right.
Let alone understand
The nuances.
all the nuances.
It's all the ins and outs.
Yes, that's where MSLs come in.
That's where they shine.
They're like the key,
The key, yeah.
the missing link, perhaps.
Yeah, and what's cool is this Udemy course goes beyond
It's
just the basic.
the 101.
Yeah, the 101 of being an MSL.
It really delves into like the strategic thinking, the
Ooh.
communication skills
Mm.
that you need, not just to do the job, but to really thrive in this field.
To excel.
To excel, exactly.
So it's not just about knowing the science.
It's not just about, having read the textbooks. It's
That-
about understanding
Yeah.
the whole ecosystem
The system, yeah.
that these liaisons operate within.
It's like a whole world.
It is.
Okay, so let's break down this curriculum, right?
Yeah, let's dive in.
There's one module that really caught my eye.
Okay.
It's called
Ethical considerations and compliance.
yeah.
I mean, this isn't just about like,
Sharing exciting research.
sharing the latest and greatest.
Okay.
There's a huge responsibility to make sure
Of course.
that everything is done by the book.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, MSLs have to navigate like
Oh,
a
yeah.
very highly regulated industry,
Mm-hmm.
and patient safety
Yeah.
is absolutely paramount, right?
Front and center.
Front and center, it's non-negotiable.
So this course really emphasizes
It does
those ethical guidelines.
the legal frameworks
The legal frameworks, yeah.
that govern how pharmaceutical companies interact with
Oh,
healthcare professionals.
Okay, so it's about like,
Transparency, building trust
making sure everything's on the up and up.
within the medical community, absolutely.
Yeah, because it's a sensitive area, right?
right, it is a sensitive area.
You're dealing with people's health.
Exactly.
You're dealing with like cutting edge treatments.
Yeah, the stakes are high.
The stakes are high, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it looks like they go deep on the science too.
They do. They do. There's a whole module.
There's a whole module. It's called Scientific Acumen for Medical Science Liaisons.
Oh, yeah.
I'm guessing that's where things get
Intense.
really intense, yeah.
Yeah, think of it this way, right?
Yeah.
MSLs need to be able to dissect these complex research papers,
Mm-hmm.
evaluate clinical trial data,
Okay.
and basically
Like become experts.
become experts, mini experts
Mhm.
in their specific therapeutic areas.
So it's not enough to like,
Skim the abstracts.
just read the conclusion.
Right.
They need to understand.
Methodology, the statistical analysis,
Oh,
the whole shebang.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And then, like, they have to like distill all that
Yeah, okay.
into something that
Makes sense.
makes sense to busy doctors.
Yeah, busy clinicians who don't have time
Right, who don't have time to
to wade through
wade through
all the jargon.
the jargon, all that dense.
Yeah, the dense scientific literature.
Yeah, it's like a translation almost.
It is. It's a translation.
Okay.
It's a very specialized skill set.
But I'm also seeing modules like
Mhm.
business acumen for medical affairs
Oh, yeah.
and effective communication for medical science liaisons.
hmm
What's the deal with those?
Well, that's the fascinating part, right? It's
Yeah.
not just science. It's not just
Yeah.
being a walking encyclopedia.
Right.
This role requires this, like,
It's blend.
unique blend.
That's
So you've got-
expertise.
I mean, business savvy.
Oh, so they're not just scientists.
Right.
They're like science
Diplomats.
diplomats navigating the world of
Medicine.
medicine and
Business.
business.
Yeah,
It's a
that's
very-
a great analogy.
It is. It's a very complex dance.
Yeah.
And the communication piece is key.
Okay, so they're constantly, like,
Interacting with
Yeah, interacting with different audiences.
Mhm.
Different audiences, yeah.
Doctors, researchers,
Internal teams.
internal teams,
Yeah, everyone has
and everyone has
different priorities.
their own priorities, their own
Their own levels of understanding.
levels of understanding.
You have to tailor your message.
You got to tailor it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow. So this course is really highlighting that
It is.
MSLs are more than just
No, science communicator.
communicators. They're strategists. They're
Yeah.
relationship builders.
They need a whole suite of skills.
A whole toolkit.
Yeah. Speaking of which, let's talk about the instructor.
All right.
Yasser Eldershabi.
Yes or yes.
This guy has an incredibly impressive resume.
He does. He's got decades of experience.
Decades of experience, a VP position at Pfizer.
Got Pfizer. Yeah. One of the
One of the big dogs.
big players in the industry.
Yeah, and like
A string of master's
it's a
degrees.
string of master's degrees. It's like never ending.
It seems endless. Yeah.
So he's got pharmaceutical medicine,
Health education,
health education.
medical dietetics,
Oh, wow.
and clinical nutrition.
It's like, what doesn't he have a master's in?
Exactly.
I mean, his background really speaks to
it does.
that interdisciplinary
Sure.
nature of the MSL role.
It's not just for scientists. It's for people who,
Right, it's not just lab coats and beakers.
right, it's for people who can blend medical knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
communication skills,
Yeah.
business savvy,
Okay.
and a genuine passion for,
Improving.
for moving healthcare forward.
For making things better.
Absolutely.
Okay, but all those degrees aside,
Yeah.
what I really want to know is, does the curriculum dive into, like,
The nitty gritty.
the nitty-gritty of
What it's actually like.
what it's actually like to be an MSL?
To be an MSL. Yeah.
I mean, I'm picturing, like,
Conferences, meetings with top doctors.
like, is it all
Some
very,
fakes.
high stakes, very
Very exclusive.
exclusive, like a whole other world. Well, you're right. There's a definite, like,
Yeah.
behind-the-scenes allure to this role. And
Yeah.
based on the course description, it seems like they
Yeah.
do cover that aspect as well.
Okay, good.
There's a module on
What's it called?
key opinion leader engagement,
Ooh, okay.
which really dives into
So that's like
building relationships.
building relationships with
The top experts.
the top experts in those,
and those specific
medical fields.
medical fields,
Wait, so they teach you how to, like,
befriend the rock stars.
befriend the rock stars of medicine.
Exactly.
Sign me up. Where do I?
But seriously, what does that actually entail, right?
Yeah. What does it actually entail?
I mean, it takes more than
More than just
showing up with donuts.
donuts.
Right.
You can't just like
Schmooze your way in.
schmooze your way in.
No, it's about
Okay.
really understanding their work,
Mm-hmm.
their research interests,
Mm-hmm.
their influence within the medical community.
So you're like building like a whole
It's like you're building a
detailed profile.
detailed profile,
It's like
almost like a detective investigating a suspect,
like
but the suspect,
the suspect's like a
leading medical expert.
leading medical expert. Yeah.
So, once
Once you've identified them.
you've identified these potential KOLs,
Yeah.
the course really dives into like developing that strategic engagement plan.
Strategic engagement plan. You can't just
You can't just
cold call
cold call. No.
these experts.
No, you have to.
You have to there's an art to it.
There's an art to
You
it.
can't just show up
Show up with your power
with a PowerPoint presentation.
and expect them to be wowed.
Yeah, and be like, "Hey, look at this."
Right. You
This-
did my research.
You have to understand
You have to like woo them.
their perspective.
Yeah.
Identify shared interests.
And demonstrate that you're
fine.
genuinely committed to advancing.
It's fine.
Yeah, to furthering scientific knowledge.
Okay, so you have to become an expert
In a way.
in your field almost.
You have to be able to
to even
have an intelligent
an
conversation.
intelligent conversation. Yeah.
Contribute meaningfully to the discussion.
Yeah, you can't just be like, "Hey, I read your paper.
I skimmed your abstract.
I skimmed your abstract."
Right. You have to show that you
You get it.
you understand the nuances of their work.
You're in the weeds with them.
Exactly. And it's not just about, one-sided communication.
Okay.
It's about fostering a dialogue,
Okay, so it's
exchanging information,
deeper.
collaborating on research projects, maybe,
Ooh, that's interesting.
educational initiatives.
So it's a much deeper level
There's a much deeper level of engagement
than I initially imagined.
than it appears on the surface. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm also wondering,
Mhm.
how do you
Mhm.
measure
measure the success
Right.
of these relationships.
KOL relationships?
Yeah. I mean, is it like a numbers game?
That's a good question.
Like, are you just trying to collect
Collect as many KOLs.
as many KOLs as possible? Like, It's like Pokemon cards or something.
Like Pokemon cards, right?
Not catch 'em all.
Well, that's where the courses focus on setting medical metrics for field medical teams comes in.
What?
It's about really being clear about what your goals are
For
each KOF interaction, and then like tracking your progress.
So it's not just
about
like having coffee,
have a nice chat
with a famous doctor.
Right. There needs to be
a purpose.
a purpose,
Yeah.
an outcome.
A desired outcome.
Okay, absolutely.
So like it might be about.
It could be about gaining insights into a particular like
Yeah.
clinical challenge.
Clinical challenge. Okay.
It might be about getting their feedback on a new treatment.
Yeah, a new treatment approach.
Okay.
It might even be about like subtly influencing
Prescribing patterns.
prescribing patterns, yeah.
Within a certain
Within a specific therapeutic area.
therapeutic area, yeah.
So,
It makes sense that you want to track these
they
things,
want to track it. Yeah.
especially within a pharmaceutical company setting
Oh, yeah.
where resources are
Limited.
always being evaluated
Yeah.
and scrutinized.
I got to prove
You got to prove your worth,
that you're doing
that your work is valuable.
something.
Absolutely.
So it's all about proving that. Like
it's all about demonstrating
demonstrating, yeah.
that the work that the MSLs are doing
Is actually
is translating into
translating into
better patient care,
better patient care.
which ultimately
It contributes to
contributes to the company's success.
the company's success. It all ties together.
It all comes full circle.
Yeah. It's like
That delicate balance.
a delicate ecosystem, but one that MSLs are increasingly expected to manage.
This whole conversation has.
It's a fascinating field.
Yeah, it's opened my eyes to, like,
It is.
to be successful in this world.
You be successful, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like being
A scientific detective.
a scientific detective, yeah.
A master communicator.
A master communicator.
A data analyst.
A data analyst.
A relationship guru.
A relationship guru.
All rolled into one.
All rolled into one. That's a lot.
It's a tall order.
It's a tall order, yeah. But it sounds...
And it's rewarding.
knowing that you're at the forefront
Yeah.
of medical innovation and that you're playing a part
Yeah.
in bringing these new treatments to patients who need them.
So there's a real
There's a human element.
human element. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really powerful.
That's really cool. And based on this Udemy course,
It seems like
it seems like they're equipping you
they give you the tools.
with the tools to not just like
survive.
but to actually thrive in that kind of environment.
It's like they give you the
playbook.
Yeah, the playbook, the cheat codes almost.
The cheat codes, yeah, to level up your MSL game.
I'm starting to think like maybe I need to sign up for this myself.
It's tempting, isn't it?
It is tempting, yeah.
But before we jump into a new career path,
Yeah, before we get ahead of ourselves.
let's dig a little deeper
Yeah, let's keep going. I want to
into some of these modules.
yeah, I want to explore those nuances.
I'm particularly interested in that key opinion leader engagement.
Oh, yeah.
That's where I think the real art of being an MSL
Yeah.
comes into play.
Yeah, there's so much more to uncover there.
Absolutely.
All right, everyone, we're going to
I'm going to take a quick pause.
take a quick pause, yeah.
Gather our thoughts.
We'll be back in a flash.
Back in a flash
Yeah.
to continue our
Our deep dive
deep dive
into the world of MSLs. Okay, so we're back, and I'm still like kind of wrapping my head around this whole
key opinion leader.
the key opinion leader engagement thing.
KOL engagement.
It sounds like it's like a delicate dance between building like genuine relationships and
Yeah, you don't want to just be transactional.
right. You're not just like there to
You're not there to like use them.
use them. You're trying to
They're building a true partnership.
a partnership. Yeah, and at the same time you're like
Advocating for for these new treatments.
specific treatments. Yeah,
It's a balancing act for sure.
it is a balancing act, and it seems like this Udemy course.
Oh yeah.
With its module on what is it? Key opinion leaders engagement by Medical Science Liaisons.
It's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful.
But they really get into
the weeds.
Yeah, the nuances of this aspect.
The thing I'm curious about is like,
Yeah.
how do MSLs even like,
Find these KOLs.
identify them in the first place?
It's a great question.
Is there like
A secret society
secret society of like,
of medical rock stars?
medical rock stars that they have access to?
I wish, right?
I know, right?
If only it were that simple.
It would make things easier.
It would. It would.
But so how do they
So there's no secret society, but there are definitely strategies involved.
Strategies.
The course really emphasizes KOL profiling.
KOL profiling.
Going beyond just, a doctor's...
So your title.
Yeah, their title or just their, publication record.
Okay, so what kind of information?
What are you looking for?
Yeah, are they I don't know, stalking their social media?
I mean, social media can be a tool, right?
Okay.
But it's more about understanding their specific areas of expertise,
Okay.
their research interests,
Right.
their influence within their networks,
Ooh, okay.
even patient population demographics.
So they're building
Yeah, it's like you're building
a detailed profile.
a detailed profile, almost like...
It's like a detective?
Yeah, like a detective investigating a suspect.
But the suspect is
Leading medical
the
expert.
leading medical expert.
So, once you've
identified
these potential KOLs,
yeah.
then you have to develop a strategic engagement plan.
You can't just
You can't just cold call them.
cold call them and be like, "Hey, what's up, doc?
Hey, want to chat about this new drug?"
I got this new drug for you."
No, it's much more nuanced than that.
There's an art to it.
There's a real art to approaching KOLs effectively.
So the course emphasizes
understanding their perspective,
okay,
identifying shared interests, and demonstrating a genuine commitment to,
to the science,
to advancing scientific knowledge in that area.
So it's almost like MSLs need to become
mini experts.
Yeah, mini experts
in that KOL's field.
Just to even have
to be able to have an intelligent conversation.
Yeah, a back and forth.
And to contribute meaningfully.
Yeah.
I can't just be like, "Hey, I read your paper.
I skimmed your abstract.
I Googled you."
Yeah, I Googled you. You seem cool.
Right.
You really have to.
You have to show that you understand the nuances of their work.
You're the weeds with them.
Exactly. And it's not just about, one-sided communication.
Okay, so it's
about fostering a dialogue.
It's deeper. It's
exchanging information. And potentially even collaborating.
Oh, collaborating.
On research projects, educational initiatives.
So it's a much
deeper level of engagement.
Deeper level of engagement than I
Than it initially seemed?
Than it initially seemed, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm also wondering, how do you...
measure the success?
Yeah, how do you measure the success...
of these KOL relationships?
Yeah.
Because, you're right.
You can't just be like, "Oh, I met this person.
I had coffee with them.
They're famous.
They're great."
Yeah, they're a big deal.
Right. So that's where the course really gets into setting medical metrics for field medical teams.
Medical metrics, okay.
It's about being really intentional.
Okay.
About each interaction.
So you go in with...
clear goals.
Okay, so you're not just like, "I'm going to go have coffee with this person and see what happens."
Exactly.
Maybe we'll talk about science.
Maybe we'll become best friends.
Maybe they'll invite me to their lab.
Right. You have to be much more strategic than that.
Okay, so there needs to be...
There needs to be a purpose.
A purpose.
Yeah.
A desired outcome.
What could that look like?
So it could be anything from... gaining insights into a particular clinical challenge?
Okay, so a specific
problem
that they're working on.
That they're facing in their practice.
Okay, and you can kind of...
pick their brain. Get their expert perspective.
Okay.
It might be gathering feedback.
On a new treatment approach.
It's like a new drug.
Yeah, a new drug, a new device.
Okay.
A new way of managing a particular condition.
And getting their take on it.
Getting their expert opinion.
Interesting.
It might even be about subtly influencing.
Ooh, influencing.
Okay.
Prescribing patterns.
So how they're actually
Yeah, within their network.
Yeah, how they're actually prescribing medications to their patients.
Exactly.
It all kind of
it all ties together.
And it makes sense.
It makes sense, yeah, that they would want to track these things.
Especially within a company setting. Where, budgets are tight.
Resources are limited.
And you have to demonstrate the value of your work.
So it's all about proving
that the MSL team's efforts
that what they're doing
are translating
into
tangible benefits for patients and for the company.
Okay, so it's a delicate balance.
Yeah, it's a delicate balance.
The one that they're
but one that they're increasingly expected to manage.
Yeah, expected to manage. It's a lot.
It is a lot.
But let's shift gears for a second.
Okay.
Talk about the communication aspect.
The communication piece, yeah.
There was a module on effective communication for medical science liaisons and medical affairs.
It's a crucial skill set.
It is, because you're
constantly communicating.
Yeah, You're always talking to people.
You're talking to different people,
Yeah.
different levels of understanding.
Different backgrounds, different
Priorities.
priorities. Yeah, so what are, like, some of the challenges?
So the challenges, right?
Yeah, that MSLs face.
It's not just about, like, presenting data clearly.
Right, it's more than that.
It's about adapting your style.
Adapting your style.
Okay. To the audience.
To the audience, yeah.
So whether you're speaking to, a room full of researchers at a conference, or you're having a one-on-one conversation
With, like, a busy clinician.
with a clinician who's, got 5 minutes between patients,
You got to be like a chameleon.
you got to be a chameleon.
Yeah, you got to, like,
Shifting your language?
shift your language, shift your
Approach, yeah.
based on who you're talking to.
It's like having, like, a
scientific translator.
scientific translator chip implanted in their brains.
I love that analogy.
I know, right? It's like, activate science mode.
Activate clinician mode.
Yeah, exactly.
And the course goes into,
Okay.
different channels, different strategies.
Like what kind of stuff?
So everything from, how to craft a compelling presentation to mastering the art of active listening.
Oh, active listening. That's a good one.
It's not just about talking.
It's about listening.
It's about truly
Hearing
what they're saying.
Understanding their concerns.
Their perspective.
Their perspective.
So they covered, like, the whole spectrum
the full gamut.
of community.
From formal presentations to those, like,
Those hallway conversations.
those informal chats.
Yeah, at conferences.
That can be just as valuable.
Just as valuable, yeah.
And it's not just about, like,
Conveying information.
saying information. It's about
It's about building
rapport,
yeah.
addressing concerns,
Ultimately, like,
fostering trust.
trust and credibility.
Because this ties back to, like, what we were talking about earlier.
Ethical consideration.
Ethical considerations.
Yeah.
MSLs are in a position of influence, yeah.
So they need to be
responsible.
They need to be transparent.
Yeah.
And the course really dives into that in the module on
What's it called?
ethical considerations and compliance for medical science liaisons.
Yeah, and they cover everything from, like,
Conflict of interest guidelines.
conflicts of interest, yeah.
To, the proper dissemination of scientific information.
So you're not just, like, out there. You're not a salesperson.
Yeah, you're not like, hey, buy my drug.
You're a scientific ambassador.
You're an ambassador, yeah.
You're representing the science.
You're representing the science.
And you're upholding the integrity of that research.
It's a fine line to walk.
It is a fine line, but it's a crucial one.
It's a crucial one, yeah.
And this course really does a good job of
emphasizing
both the scientific
yeah,
and the ethical dimensions.
like a holistic view.
It's a holistic view of the role.
It's cool to see how, like,
All these elements
all the different elements
coming together.
Yeah, you've got the scientific knowledge, you've got the communication skills,
The business acumen.
the ethical framework.
It's a unique blend.
It's a unique blend.
And it creates this really impactful role.
It's a fascinating role.
It is.
And it's really, like,
it speaks to the complexity
the complexity
of
of
the modern healthcare landscape.
Yeah, it's more than just, like,
Pills and procedures.
pills and procedures. It's a whole
It's like a whole ecosystem, yeah.
of stakeholders and
The removing parts.
moving parts, absolutely.
We've talked a lot about, like, the
Yeah.
challenges,
The
responsibilities, yeah,
of being an MSL.
of being an MSL. But I'm also curious about, like,
What about the rewards?
yeah, what are the rewards?
Well, why would anyone
would anyone want to do this?
sign up for this?
Yeah, it seems like a lot.
It is a lot.
What draws people to this kind of career?
I think it goes back to
The patients.
Yeah, the patient journey.
Okay.
MSLs have this unique opportunity to
actually see.
How scientific advancement
Translate into.
translate into real-world benefits for patients.
So it's not just, like,
It's not just data points.
Yes.
It's not just clinical trial results.
You're actually seeing the impact
on people's lives.
on people's lives. That's got to be.
It's incredibly motivating.
Yeah, that's really cool. It gives their work a sense of purpose.
Purpose, yeah.
That I think a lot of people are searching for.
Yeah, it's more than just a job.
It's more than a job.
Yeah, it's like
It's a calling almost.
a calling.
It requires a unique blend of, like,
Passion,
intellect,
yeah.
and a genuine desire to make a difference.
Make things better.
Absolutely.
And it seems like this Udemy course,
Yeah, it's really giving people
it's giving them the tools
they need
to not just like do the job,
but to really thrive in this role
to thrive, yeah.
and to make a real impact.
It's like a crash course
It's a crash
in
course
everything MSL.
in everything MSL, yeah.
But before we
Get ahead of ourselves.
yeah, get ahead of ourselves, start applying for jobs,
Right.
let's take a moment to reflect
Yeah, let's take a step back.
on what we've learned.
We've covered a lot of ground
We've covered a lot, yeah, from like dissecting the curriculum,
to exploring the nuances of
KOL engagement.
KOL engagement, yeah.
But there's one final piece of the puzzle
Mm.
I want to address,
What's that?
the future of this role.
Yes, the future of the MSL.
It's the world of medicine.
Constantly evolving.
It's constantly evolving.
Changing at an incredible pace.
So it makes sense that,
That the MSL role would evolve along with it.
yeah. So we're going to take another quick break,
Okay.
gather our thoughts,
Gather our thoughts.
and prepare for this.
The final leg
the final leg
of our deep dive.
of our deep dive.
Our deep dive, yeah.
We'll be back in a flash
Back in a flash
to discuss
of the MSL
might change.
in the years to come.
Don't go anywhere.
All right, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into this world of medical science liaisons. And yeah, I gotta say, this conversation has really changed how I think about new treatments making their way from like the lab to my doctor.
Yeah, to the real world.
Yeah, to the real world.
It's a long and winding road. It is. It's quite a journey. And we were just about to talk about how the MSL role itself is like changing, right?
Right. It's not a static job. It's evolving.
So what kind of trends are you seeing that might shape the future?
Well, one thing that immediately comes to mind is this whole explosion of personalized medicine.
Personalized medicines. We're talking about.
Yeah, tailoring therapies to like individual patients.
Not just like a one-size-fits-all.
Exactly. We're moving beyond that.
So it's like based on your genes, your lifestyle.
Your genetic makeup, your
Yeah.
lifestyle, yeah, all those factors.
That sounds incredibly complex.
It is. It adds a whole new layer of complexity.
So how does that impact the MSL?
Well, it requires them to really understand the science at a much deeper level.
Okay, so even more than before.
Yeah, more than before, yeah.
So like what kind of areas?
Particularly in areas like genomics and bioinformatics.
Genomics? Yeah, that's a hot topic these days.
It is. It's really at the forefront of medicine right now.
So they need to be able to like,
They need to be able to interpret complex genetic data,
okay.
explain how it might influence treatment decisions.
So it's not just knowing the drug anymore, it's knowing.
It's knowing how that drug interacts with the patient's unique biology.
That's a whole other
A
level.
whole other level, yeah.
And then on top of that, they got to explain it to,
To doctors who might not be.
yeah, who may not have like a PhD in genetics.
Exactly. They might not have a deep background in this stuff.
So it's like a translation almost, but the language is DNA.
I love that analogy. It's very apt.
It's a tough job.
It's a challenging role, but it's incredibly important.
Yeah, and what other trends are like shaping the future of this role?
I mean, we talked a bit about the digital landscape earlier.
Yeah, but I feel like we could go like
We could definitely dive deeper into that.
deeper into that because that's changing everything.
It is. I mean, think about it.
Like, how is it affecting MSLs specifically?
So traditional methods of communication, like, those in-person meetings.
Yeah, conferences.
Yeah. Conferences, those are still important.
They're not going away completely,
No, they still have their place, but
but they're being supplemented by.
by a whole suite of digital tools and platforms.
So are we talking about like MSLs becoming like social media influencers, like posting about clinical trials on Instagram?
Not quite, although social media does play a role,
Okay, all right.
in terms of disseminating information,
Yeah.
connecting with healthcare professionals.
Okay.
But we're also seeing the rise of, like,
Like what? Give me some examples.
virtual conferences, webinars, online forums, even telemedicine platforms.
So it's like the way they're engaging is becoming
More dynamic, less reliant on face-to-face.
less face-to-face. Yeah.
Exactly.
So that requires like a
A
whole
whole new skill set.
new skill set. Yeah, because you got to be
comfortable in that digital world.
tech savvy.
Yeah, using online tools effectively, adapting your communication style.
So it's like on top of being scientific experts, master communicators,
They got to be digital natives too.
digital natives. That's a lot.
It's a tall order, but it's becoming increasingly essential.
Yeah, and as we're talking about the future, I can't help but think about Like
It-
AI,
Yeah.
artificial
Oh,
intelligence.
is that going to like shake things up?
That's the million-dollar question,
Yeah,
right?
could we see like AI taking over some of the things that MSLs do?
It's a question a lot of people are asking.
I mean, is that like a realistic possibility?
I think AI definitely has the potential to automate certain tasks,
Okay, so like what kind of tasks?
like data analysis, information retrieval, things like that.
So the more like
The more routine tasks.
yeah, routine tasks.
Things that can be done algorithmically,
Okay, but you're not picturing a world where like
where doctors are getting their information from robots.
yeah, from robots.
I don't think we're there yet, and I'm not sure we'll ever be fully there,
Okay.
because I think that human element
Yeah.
will always be crucial in the MSL role. So, like, what is it about the human touch that's so important?
Building relationships, understanding nuances,
Mm.
communicating complex information in a way that resonates.
In a way that, like, connects
It
with...
links with individual doctors,
Mm.
you know, empathy, judgment.
Things that AI can't really do.
Exactly. AI can provide the data,
Yeah.
but it's the MSL who provides the context, the connection.
So it's like a partnership almost.
It is. It's a collaboration.
AI and humans working together.
Augmenting each other's strength.
That's reassuring to hear.
Because in a world that's increasingly driven by technology,
Yeah.
I think that human element is only going to become more important.
It's what makes us human.
Really, it is. It's what sets us apart.
And I think that's what draws a lot of people to this field.
Yeah. It's not just about the science. It's about using your knowledge to make a difference.
To have an impact.
Have a real impact on people's lives.
It's about being part of something bigger than yourself.
Yep.
And it seems like this Udemy course is,
It's equipping aspiring MSLs.
yeah, equipping them not just for today, but for like...
For the future.
for the future, for whatever's coming next.
It's giving them the tools to adapt.
It's like giving them a roadmap and a compass.
Exactly, to navigate this ever-changing landscape.
Well, this has been, this deep dive has been incredible.
It's been a fascinating journey.
It's opened my eyes to this whole world that, honestly, I knew nothing about.
It's a world that often goes unnoticed.
Yeah, but it's so crucial.
But as we've seen, it's absolutely critical.
Yeah, and maybe, who knows, maybe one of our listeners today will be like,
Inspired.
yeah, inspired to go down this path.
I hope so. It's a challenging path.
But it's a rewarding one.
Incredibly rewarding.
Knowing that you're contributing
Well,
to
something bigger than yourself.
to something bigger, yeah.
To advancing medical science, to improving patient care.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive. Thank you so much for joining us on this exploration of the fascinating world of medical science liaisons.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you've gained a new appreciation for the crucial role they play in bridging the gap
Between scientific discovery and patient care.
between the lab and the real world.
And to our listeners, we encourage you to
Keep exploring.
keep learning.
Keep asking questions.
And who knows, maybe your curiosity will lead you
To a hidden passion.
to a field you never even knew existed.
Until next time, stay curious, everybody.
Stay curious.